There are moments in life when silence isn't empty. It's full of memories, of laughter we once heard, of songs that still play somewhere inside us. Samuel thought his music was gone forever. The day the world went quiet, he believed the story had ended. But sometimes life rewrites its melody, not with sound, but with feeling. This isn't a story about loss. It's about what stays, the echoes we carry, the vibrations that still reach us, and the quiet miracles that remind us the heart can still hear. Because some music never stops, it simply finds a new way to be heard. The old clock in Samuel's workshop had stopped years ago. Its hands were frozen at 5:42 p.m., the exact minute his world went silent. He never repaired it. He said some things weren't meant to be fixed, only remembered. Not everything that stops is broken, he used to write in his worn-out notebook. Sometimes it's just a pause before the next song. Before the silence, Samuel's life was made of notes and laughter. The smell of varnish mixed with the melody of strings. His workshop was small but alive, violins hanging from the ceiling, a piano by the window, dust motes dancing in the sunlight. Every morning he tuned instruments and said the same thing to every child who came for lessons. Music doesn't live in your hands, it lives in your heart. On Sundays he played piano at the little church down the street. People didn't come just to pray, they came to listen. His music could soften even the hardest soul. Mrs. Celia, the florist, once said, "When Samuel plays, you feel heaven breathing through the keys." Then came that rainy afternoon. The sky was heavy, the roads slippery. Samuel was driving home from a wedding performance, humming a melody that had come to him mid-song. He didn't see the other car until it was too late. The sound of screeching tires, the shattering glass. And then the world fell into silence. He woke up in a hospital room, wrapped in white sheets and strange stillness. The doctor said the words he'd never forget. "You've lost most of your hearing. It won't come back." He was 37, married, a father, a man who had lived inside sound, and now was locked out of it forever. At home, his piano became a ghost under a white sheet. The workshop grew cold. Children stopped visiting. The laughter was gone. He learned to read lips, to nod at conversations he couldn't hear, to smile when silence hurt too much. But every evening, at exactly 5:42 p.m., Samuel would lift the sheet and press a single key on the piano. He couldn't hear it, but he could feel it. The vibration under his fingertips was faint, but real. Just a reminder, he'd think, that sound still exists, somewhere. Years passed. His son grew up and moved away. His wife passed quietly in her sleep. The workshop aged with him. Cracked paint, faded photos, dust that looked like time settling down to rest. He spent his days repairing instruments he could no longer test, just to keep his hands busy and his heart quiet. One winter morning, there was a knock on the door. Samuel opened it to find a young man standing there, a thin figure with curious eyes and a backpack slung over one shoulder. "Excuse me, sir," he said. "Are you Professor Samuel?" Samuel frowned at the word professor but nodded. "My name's Miguel. I found an old video of you playing piano in 1982 at St. Benedict's Church. It's online. You were incredible. I cried listening to it." Samuel read his lips, understanding just enough to catch the meaning. He smiled faintly and wrote on a small notepad, "I can't hear anymore." Miguel nodded. "I know. That's why I'm here." He reached into his backpack and pulled out a small device, no bigger than a coin, connected to thin wires. "I'm studying sound engineering. This prototype doesn't restore hearing, but it translates frequencies into vibrations, the kind you can feel through your skin. You won't hear the music, but maybe you'll feel it again." Samuel hesitated. He'd seen many promises before, none kept. "I don't believe in miracles," he mouthed. Miguel smiled. "Then don't believe." just try. With trembling hands, Samuel placed the device near his temples. Miguel touched a key on the piano. "Now you," he said. Samuel pressed a single note. At first, nothing. Then, a pulse, a small tremor, like life itself rediscovering his skin. He pressed another note, and another. The vibrations spread through his hands, his arms, his chest, until tears ran silently down his face. "The sound never left," he whispered, voice shaking. "It just found another way to reach me." From that day on, the piano was never covered again. Samuel played every evening, not for applause, not for memory, but for the feeling. Every vibration was a conversation with something sacred. Every note was proof that life could still sing, even without sound. Miguel became part of his life. Every weekend, he brought children from the community, some deaf, some hearing, as to the workshop. Together, they learned to listen with their hands. They'd place their palms on the piano, barefoot on the wooden floor, eyes closed, smiling as they felt the rhythm move through them. One little girl, Clara, once laughed and said, "The music is dancing inside me." Samuel smiled and answered softly, "That's where it truly belongs." Months later, a local reporter discovered their project. The story spread fast. The Orchestra of Silence, where music is felt, not heard. Visitors began arriving from other cities. Some came out of curiosity, others in search of hope. When asked if he considered himself special, Samuel simply wrote on his notepad, "I'm not special. I just found another way to listen to what life still wants to tell me." Years passed, and the city decided to honor him. They organized a concert, the first public performance of the Orchestra of Silence. When the curtains opened, the audience went still. Dozens of children and adults stood around a grand piano, hands on its surface, feeling the vibrations together. In the middle sat Samuel, his white hair glowing in the stage lights, eyes closed, a peaceful smile on his face. When the last note faded, the crowd rose in tears. A journalist approached and asked, "Do you still miss hearing, Professor?" Samuel smiled gently. "The sound in my ears ended 40 years ago, but the sound in my heart never stopped." He passed away years later quietly, as he had lived. Miguel organized a final tribute concert. Every student returned. On the big screen behind the stage, a photograph of Samuel playing piano, smiling, eyes closed, lost in peace. When the final song ended, the clock above the stage showed 5:42 p.m. And for a moment, everyone in the room swore they felt it, a soft trembling in the floor, like a heartbeat running through the air. Miguel walked to the piano, placed a small brass plaque on it and whispered, "Some people listen with their ears, others with their hearts. And they're the ones who truly hear the world." And as the lights dimmed, the air seemed to hum, faint, warm, and alive. The sound that never stopped, because music doesn't need to be heard to be felt, and love never needs sound to be remembered. In the end, Samuel never heard the notes again, but he felt every one of them, through his fingers, through the air, through every child who learned that silence can sing. The world remembers him not as the man who lost his hearing, but as the man who taught silence how to make music. And maybe that's what life really is, a series of vibrations, invisible but eternal. The sound of love, the sound of faith, the sound that never stopped. So if you ever find yourself in silence, close your eyes and listen. Maybe the music is still there, waiting for you to feel it again.